of any of the last 4 recoveries. And we're also seeing that in terms of the strength of household balance sheets as well. Savings is up, debt is down, bankruptcy filings remain near pre-pandemic lows. All of these are sources of economic strength from which we can now focus on bringing prices down. The third point, this was an important piece of this, which is that
more states are offering new stimulus checks to their residents. $500 crisis aid payments are finally being mailed out. Top Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, are pushing for President Biden to send out federal inflation relief payments. So be sure to watch until the end of the video to find out how to receive the stimulus check. New Mexico residents will finally start to see relief payments hit their bank accounts and mailboxes. The governor announced the first round of payments will be sent this month. State officials say taxpayers who filed individual tax returns will see $250, and those who file jointly or as head of households will see $500. There is no income limit for those receiving the first and third rebates. Those who filed a tax return do not need to do anything to receive their payment. Payments will come in the form of a direct deposit or by check, whichever was chosen on your tax return. But those who did not file a tax return will need to visit a state human services department to apply for the relief payments. And there are 2 more rounds of payments coming from New Mexico residents, one in July and one in August. There is an income limit for July payments, and thousands of low-income residents in Chicago have also moved one step closer to receiving free gas cards from the city. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's proposed Chicago Moves plan has finally received approval from the City Council and the Budget Committee. This paves the way for the mayor's gas card plan to get a vote from the full City Council. Mayor Lightfoot had to tweak her original Chicago Moves plan in order for it to be considered for a vote. The revised ordinance will be allocated for the $12.5 million gas card lottery for residents of the city's residents. The ordinance calls for distributing up to 100,000 prepaid transit cards and up to 50,000 prepaid gas cards. But the mayor's proposal did not receive overwhelming support from the Budget Committee. It passed by a vote of 15 to 12. Some officials who voted yes said they did so reluctantly. Progressive lawmakers would like to see President Biden also cancel student loan debts before November's midterm elections. The White House's latest plans calls for limiting debt forgiveness to Americans who earn less than $150,000 in the previous year, or less than $300,000 for married couples filing jointly. 2 of the people said it was unclear whether the Biden administration will simultaneously require interest and payments to resume at the end of August, when the current pause is scheduled to lapse. According to new data reports, Americans owe a staggering $1.7 trillion in college debt, mostly federal loans. That's nearly $500 billion more than auto loans and double the amount of outstanding credit card debt in the United States. Many in the Democratic Party's progressive wing have called on President Biden to cancel student loan debt before November's midterm.
The future is diverse. The future is blessed by so many children. I met today a little 13-year-old girl who was, and then high school student who was going on to college. The hope that they have, the confidence that they were given by admission neighborhood centers is not only good for them, not only good for our community.
President Biden has announced his new plan that would help millions of people, especially senior citizens, that are facing financial difficulties right now. Democrats and Republicans have worked together to propose a new bill that would increase SSI benefits for many. President Biden's newly announced plan to address the housing affordability crisis has given millions of people a reason to celebrate. President Biden's plan will help slow the nationwide increase in rent. The plan will also increase the supply of affordable housing, which will help more low-income families stay in their homes. In addition, the Biden administration wants to make housing more accessible for those currently experiencing homelessness and provide substantial savings to taxpayers. Biden's goal is to tackle inflation, and increasing housing stock is the perfect place to start. Across the country, there's an estimated housing supply deficit of 3.8 million homes, which has severe economic consequences, including driving inflation and exacerbating the homelessness crisis. Homelessness creates massive social, and economic costs for American cities and families. President Biden's action to reduce housing costs by investing in the development of affordable housing will enable more cities to continue moving unhoused individuals directly into permanent housing. Biden's proposed investment in housing would start to undo the devastating impacts of past short-sighted and fiscally irresponsible investments in housing programs, restoring programs that once prevented Americans from falling into homelessness. Unfortunately, according to Fox, more senior citizens are living on the streets. Homeless agencies across the country say it's an alarming new trend because of rising rents and inflation. A study led by the University of Pennsylvania estimated the number of elderly people experiencing homelessness will nearly triple by 2030, reaching over 100,000. Older people who are homeless also tend to have smaller Social Security checks. That is why many economists and lawmakers are pushing for legislation that would increase the monthly benefit checks that many seniors receive. The average monthly Social Security retirement payment as of December was around $1,700. So hopefully President Biden can do something about this. The SSI program provides disabled people with limited income with financial help, but its strict asset limits have not been updated since 1989. Senator Brown has said during an interview with CNBC News, it doesn't make sense for SSI rules to punish Americans for saving for emergencies. Our bipartisan bill would update the outdated rules for the first time in decades and allow beneficiaries to save for emergencies without putting the benefits they rely on to live at risk.
Plan to match your vision. We were able to get, whether we did $2 million for next year's funding bill to renovate the Child Care Center in the Mission and in the Bayview. Thank you for investing in this. To touch the lives of even more families in a brighter way. Let me just say this because we've talked about the mayor's office, the governor's office, President Biden. Everybody recognizes that where the policy meets the people, where it hits the road, is where we need to put our support. And that's why last year the House passed legislation of 228,000 affordable housing units in California. Much of that for the governor's office, the mayor's office, the supervisors, and all, to distribute guaranteed preschool for 3 to 4 year olds, preschool and a good paying job. So again, with the passed American Dream and Promise Act, we again recognize the reinvigoration of America that newcomers are to our country. Some of you have been here many more generations than my Italian American family, some newcomers, all a part of a brilliant future. I just want to say this to all of you.
Do we turn our backs on struggling workers? Every person in America and around the world would like to live long and happy and productive lives.
One-time stimulus checks are coming your way. President Biden is advocating for more financial assistance, whether it be for those that have college debt or even the seniors and Social Security beneficiaries. Senate Democrats want to make some big changes to Social Security very soon. And here's some new information that is important for those of you that are on Social Security. If Joe Biden's new tax proposal goes through, people who earn more than $400,000 will be subject to the 3.8% Medicare tax. Biden's campaign called for applying Social Security payroll taxes to those making $400,000 and up. This year, wages of up to $142,000 are subject to that tax, which is 6.2% of wages